Hey everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to be doing a fireball. So this one is when you click a keybind, it's going to create a fireball and shoot it, blow up, and damage nearby stuff. So this one's just like if you want to create... So it's similar to the gun, I should say. So you're shooting the projectile, you're raycasting, hitting, seeing if there's a hit in front of it. If there is, and you damage it. Except this one will be using dot touch instead of a raycast. So also, we need to make sure that it doesn't damage the player that shoots the fireball, so that's important too. So for this one, I'm going to actually have a folder inside the character. So if I just play it now, you should see that folder is within the character. So if I just have a look, fireball's there. So with this information we can create the fireball, launch it, and when it touches something, we'll check if it's a descendant of this character. So if it's like within this character somewhere. And if it is, we'll ignore it and we'll just keep continuing on. Otherwise, we'll blow up and we'll do a dot touch for the explosion blast and just see what's nearby us and damage it if it's not us. It's pretty hard to exploit this too. So, also with this fireball, it'll go towards the mouse, so we need to remember that. So we'll need client input. So I'm going to start with a wall just so we can see that it explodes when it touches something and just something that we can shoot against. I also will get a dummy that we can try it against. So like that and like that. Alright, so to start, I'm going to actually start with the client since that's easier. We'll have the client called client in a local script. And we want to straight away get the mouse. So this is the position where the fireball will go towards. So we'll need the local player. And then we'll need the player's mouse. So player get mouse. So game.players.local player, that's us, and then we get the mouse of us. And then when we let's say left click. When we left click, we will ask the server to try and launch a fireball. If it can, it will do. Otherwise, it won't. So for the there's two ways of doing this. You can use the mouse's key down, or you can use user input service. So for this example, I'm going to use user input service, so that way we can expand our knowledge a little bit more. So to start with that, I'm going to get the service, user input service. So game get service, user input service, make sure that's a variable. And then we just want it so when the input begins, so that's when you press a key or move your mouse or something. No, not move your mouse. When you press a key, it will give you the input object. So this has the key code, this has the mouse's position, it has all that information. And then we also get is processed. So this just means if like another UI has already managed it, we can just ignore it. So like if we press tab, obviously the playlist toggles, so this will be true. And so we can just check if this is true or not, and if it's true, we just don't do anything. So we can check that through if not is processed. So if is processed is false, so that's when no other UI has used it. We want to check the input objects are user input type. So this is like user input type. This is like the gamepad, the mouse wheel, like touch, accelerometer. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so stuff like that. So like controllers, mouse, keyboard, whatever. So for this one, we actually want the mouse button 1. So that's left click. We just want to check if it's that. And if it's that, we want to try to tell the server to launch a fireball. So obviously we need a remote event for that. So if we have a look, we can't actually put it in there. Let's just go over to the replicator storage, get a remote event, and then we'll move that into the folder. We'll call this fire. We'll just call it fire. And then what we can do is what we gonna do? I'm going to put them in brackets just because I'm used to that. But we want to create a variable for that remote. So local fire equals script.parent wait for child fire. So we just want to make sure we get that, and then here we'll do fire server. So we're telling the server where our can I do dot mouse? No, we want the mouse dot hit dot p. Yeah, so fire server mouse dot hit dot position. So that will tell us where I'm pointing at and what it's hitting and where that 3D world position is. Like if my mouse is here, that stub where it's hovering over is where its position is. So that's important for us to make the fireball travel that direction. That's pretty much it for the client. So I'm going to make everything compact, like so, just like removing spaces, and we will now get a server script. I'm going to, server script. So I'll call that server. I'm going to do the exact same thing, except I want the character also. So local character equals script.parent.parent. So the parent of the folder. Since we do need that folder too for the remote event, we'll just make that a variable. Local folder equals script.parent, local character equals folder.parent. So I'm going to get the fire remote equals folder, wait for child fire. So we do script.parent, wait for child fire, but we use that variable we've made up there. And we want to get the humanoid inside the character so we can make sure we're alive. Wait for child humanoid. And yeah, so once the fire remote dot on server event connect function, the player is what we get, and we also get their mouse position. So another important thing is we need the fireball to start somewhere. So we'll also need the humanoid root part inside our character. Humanoid root part. So let me separate them. So we've got the folder, we get the remote with that folder variable. Then we also get the character, and we get the humanoid root part and the humanoid in there. So first we want to make sure the humanoid.health is larger than 0. And then we also want to make sure that they're not on a cooldown. So this is where debounce comes in. So this is exactly like a cooldown, except its value is the opposite of a cooldown given context. So like when this is true, that means we can actually do something, but when it's false, we can't. With a cooldown, if it's true, that means you can't do anything, and if it's false, then you can do anything. So for here, we want to do if humanoid.health is larger than 0 and debounce, we want to make sure debounce becomes false, so that way they can't spam. And then we want to create the fireball projectile. So for this one, I'll do it or we can either do it in a function, or we can just have it separated. I might just leave it so it's separated. Yeah, so I'll just have it in this area only, and then we can have it manage the explosion here too. So if I just go out here and I just just grab a ball, just change it a little bit, so like change that to neon 0.5. Oh, that's probably too much. Something like that, and then I give it like fire. Actually no, I'm gonna do particles. Let me find some flame particles. Unless I can find like a fireball in here. Yeah, I'll just use that. So we'll just grab something like that. I want to make sure it comes out the back. And actually, let me make that solid. I'm going to turn up this to like 1000. I'm going to I think that should be good. Let me make the size a little bit bigger maybe. So 0.5. Oh, I mean to delete that. So I want it to be 0.5 first. Yeah, there we go. And then it will go down to 0. And since it's pretty slow, I'll just turn up the speed. It's like 10 maybe? Yeah, 10 looks good. You can duplicate them if you want more particles, but I'm just going to keep it with 2. No, I'll keep it with 1. So this is the fireball here. You can create it on the spot if you want, but I'm going to have this in the replicated storage. And then I also want an explosion, so for this one I'm just going to have this go out the top, and then I'm going to have the acceleration be like, what, gravity's minus 9.8, can I, oh it's going too fast, yeah. Actually let me do like 10, and then I'll have this like 15. Will that work? No. If I increase that, oh yeah, the lifetime, yeah. So if I increase the lifetime to like 1.52, yeah, there we go. So something like that. And then when it expands, we'll have it, it should become a little bit bigger and it will change. There we go. So we've got our fireball and we've got our explosion. So both of these, you just want the explosion anchored, while the fireball you don't want it anchored. So I'm going to put them both in the replicated storage, and I'm going to reference them inside this script. So if I get the local replicated storage equals game get servers replicated storage, local local fireball equals replicated storage wait for child fireball, local explosion equals replicated storage wait for child explosion. And we've got our folder thing here, we've got the character, we've got our dbands. So now we want to do local new fireball equals fireball clone. We want to make sure it faces towards the direction that's going, so local direction cframe equals cframe.new. We want the humanoid root part's position, and we want it to face towards the mouse position. So that's the direction we'll go. And then new fireball.cframe equals direction cframe. I do want to actually start a little bit in front of the humanoid root part. So what I'm going to do is add a plus there. Humanoid root part.cframe plus humanoid root part.cframe.look vector times 3. So that's local spawns, fireball spawn. So that way it's 3 studs in front of the humanoid root part. And then, so that's a C-frame there. And then I want it to be, yeah, I think that's right. No. I want it so it faces, what am I doing? So it spawns at the fireball, it moves forward a little bit, and then I want it, so, okay, so this one has to go down here. So fireball spawn towards the mouse position. There we go. Yeah, so it spawns at the fireball position and it faces, oh, it should actually just be direction C-frame. So it spawns there and then faces towards the way it's going. That's, yeah, that's pretty much what it does. And then we want to new fireball.can collide. Wait, I should make them. Oh, god damn it. Explosion true, but I want these can collides to be false. That's important, so it doesn't glitch through anything. Cast shadow, that's up to you. I'm just gonna have it false. But yeah. So we've got the fireball. It goes to the position. New fireball.parent equals. I'll put in the workspace for now. But what we want is a body velocity, so that way it travels a certain direction at a certain rate. So we want to do local new local body velocity equals instance.new body velocity. We want body velocity dot velocity equals the direction C frame dot look vector. So that's the looking direction. and then we want to times that by the speed, which will just make like a variable here. So that's 5 studs a second. And then we want the body velocity dot, the other options are to you, but I'm just going to parent it to the fireball for now. So like body velocity dot dampening. So P is power, and body velocity dot dampening is like how smooth it will go there. So those are up to you. I might actually just move that down here so it doesn't drop anywhere. And then we want to do, when the fireballs touch, we want to check that it's not us. So fireball dot touched connect function object. If not object is descendant of character, then, now this is important because it will actually damage other fireballs. So we need to ignore our fireballs and no. We actually need the terrain, so that way we can ignore everything inside the terrain. So if I go back here to where can I put it? I'll put it at the very top. So local terrain equals workspace with child terrain. So that way anything in here we'll just ignore also. So if not object is descendant of character, or no, and not object is descendant of terrain. So if they're not a part of the character, or they're not another fireball, then we want to do a explosion. So local explode at equals fireball dot position, and then fireball destroy. So we want to get rid of the fireball, and then we can do explosion here. So just to test this out, I'll put that in there, and we can just, yeah. Oh, we also want to make sure that we allow it so we can attack again after a second. So now if we try this, and I just play here, if we got errors we can fix them nice and easy. So if I left click, okay, yep, so vector3 expected got C-frame, so line 21. Humanoid okay, yeah, so fireball spawn dot position, because we need it. So this will make it so it's in front of the humanoid root part. Oh wait, will it? Let me check. Okay, yeah, so it makes it so it's in front of the humanoid root part, but we need it so we get the position of in front of the humanoid root part, and then we want it so it travels towards the mouse, which it's currently doing, although very slowly. So I don't know if that's, doesn't look like it's working. Let's double check this. So I've actually put the wrong fireball, believe it or not. So we want the new fireball, not the normal fireball, otherwise that will cause some problems. So if I try this again, if it touches me it will not do anything, but if it touches that it will explode, and it will explode there. So there the spots will do the explosion. So what we want to do next is get a explosion, or new explosion equals explosion clone, new explosion dot position, so we don't need to do any of this direction stuff. New explosion dot position equals the explode at, so that's where the fireball was destroyed at. And we want to do new explosion dot touched connect function. We want the part that gets touched, and we want to do this exact same line here. So if not object is descendant of character, then yeah, so just that one. So the fireball doesn't have health or anything, so we can just ignore it. So if not object is descendant of character, we want to find the humanoid in the parts parent. So part.parent find first child of class. So we're trying to find a humanoid of some sort. Doesn't, if its name's changed it won't matter. So if there is a humanoid, we want to damage it. So humanoid take damage, and then however much. So local explosion damage equals 10. So you can just put that there. So I'm going to also turn up the speed because it's kind of slow, and yeah, we can turn down the time it takes for another fireball too. So now if we try this, actually no, not yet. So this will only explode on the spot, but won't do anything else. It will appear, but alright, no, it won't even appear. Explosion.parent equals terrain. So it will appear at the spot, but it won't expand or retract or just delete once it's done. So we need to make it expand over time. So what we can do is create a for loop. So for I equals what's the starting size? 3. So new explosion dot size dot x. I shall just do y. We want it to go to a certain explosion amount, so local max explosion size. Let's go 50. Let's go like by 4s, I guess. Up to you. But this will expand it 4 studs every basically second. Actually, might be, yeah, I'll keep it 4 studs for now. So what we want to do is new explosion dot size equals vector3 dot new I. So they're all the same. If you have a look down here, it's all the same too. And now I want to do the position to the explode at. So that's important. So where it first exploded, we want to keep the explosion there. And also the position makes it so the part's centered, which is another important thing. So we can just go ahead and test this now, so we should see that it works. It's an explosion and damages nearby stuff. So if I shoot that, yep, worked, except it killed me. I think I may have done the... okay, for starters that's way too fast. If not, object is descendant of character. Yeah, so I messed up again. It's supposed to be part. So if not part is descendant of character, then from the humanoid take damage. Also, we're supposed to set the parent first and then make it grow, and then we can just destroy it at the end. After like what, 0.2 seconds, 0.3 seconds, or you can just add it to debris, which is another thing. So now if I do that, there's explosion. It doesn't look like it damaged it. If I do, however, go over here, what we can do is do a we'll actually make this a function. So function damage. This is the part. So let me bring them down there. So if you want to like add a tag or something when they get damaged, you can do it in here. But we also need to loop through all the parts that have that are touching the explosion. So for starters, when the explosion's touched, we want to do the damage function. But we also want to every, like, let's say every time it goes 10 studs, we'll check if we can damage stuff. So if I%10 is equal to 0, so that's saying divide I by 10 and then give the remainders. So if there's 0 remainder, then we want to do for underscore item in pairs new explosion get touching parts do damage item. So that way if anyone's standing still, it will still affect them. So if we try that, that should still damage it. Yep, there we go. So that one's damaged, and this one should be damaged too. Another thing that you can actually do, which is up to you, is make it more transparent. Actually, no, that looks kind of gross. So yeah, so you can do whatever you want with that. Well, yeah, so this is how you make a fireball. I hope you enjoy it. It's pretty long, this tutorial, since I had to go through everything, but for the amount of code that we've done, yeah, it's pretty worth it, I'd say. So yeah, enjoy.